Well, I must say that initially it was really very scary. I mean, when the first time I got contacted about this stuff, it was 1993, and I remember that in the United States, the Federal Communications Commission was talking about auctioning radio spectrum, and they issued a notice of proposed rulemaking that had footnotes to academic papers, and my papers were cited. I'd never done anything very practical or very applied, and they asked me to come in and advise, and I agreed to look at these things, and I thought, oh my goodness, I don't know anything about the real world. I can't design a practical auction. That was my initial feeling. And then I looked at the proposals others were making, and I said, well, I can do better than that. And all this, it was just a changed attitude. It's that, as an academic, you want it to be perfect, and we can't design perfect mechanisms. But when I started looking at what other people were proposing, I realized I could propose something that was better. And so I ventured to propose something. It was adopted, became the simultaneous multiple round auction. It was adopted in the US and was copied all over the world, and was a huge success. And I started getting more calls, and I thought, okay, well, I could try again, and we've had some more successes subsequently. So it's been fun. When you're doing theory, sometimes you wonder, why am I doing this? Is it worth anything? And then to actually bring it to practice the way we have been able to do, it makes it all more exciting. It's, it's like saying, wine and a good steak, right? You want them together. You want both of them they enhance each other, and that's how I feel about theory and practice too. In both theory and in experiments, there's good theory and not so good theory, and there are good experiments and not so good experiments. And often in connection with experiments, the conclusions that are reached, people sometimes overreach. They run an experiment, it's something very particular, and then they claim a much more general insight into the world. I think, if we're careful, we have a lot to learn from both theory and experiments, and that that often it's not just one experiment, but a collection of experiments considered together. And the same thing about theory, not just one theoretical result, but a collection of results that are considered together that give us insight into how things work, and guide us both in understanding scientifically and in designing new mechanisms. I remember the first time I saw William Vickrey's 1961 paper, and it was just shocking to me that that you could use mathematics the way to make precise arguments of that nature. Or the Gale Shapley paper is another one that struck me as when I was young, that had a really huge impact on me. That's the direction in which I came into economics. I was drawn in by particular papers that I just found amazing and eye-opening. I think, exposing yourself and paying careful attention to the world around you, and trying to reconcile it and see, does it make any sense in terms of the economic analysis I've learned? And do I need to change my vision of economics in order to understand this? That's, all part of coming to an understanding. So my recommendation to students, don't just stick your nose in a book. Get out into the world, listen to different perspectives, try to develop your own perspective so that you can make, a novel contribution and push, push the frontiers forward.